What's up guys, it's Tyler from the Aquatic Journal. This week's video is going to be all about different types of foods I feed, so what foods I like, what foods I don't like. I have all sorts of different fish, bottom dwellers, guppies, angelfish, plecos, all that kind of stuff, so I feed a lot of different types of food in the fish room, and I'm just going to talk about the ones I like and the ones I don't like, so stay tuned. So first I want to talk about what I look for in fish foods. So the first thing I look for in a good fish food is that the fish will actually eat it. That seems pretty straightforward, but sometimes the fish won't hit it as soon as it hits the surface. So something like this, unfortunately, this was something, full disclaimer, Cobalt sent me this for free. So this is Cobalt Ultra Pellet Guppy. This food, the ingredients in this food are awesome. My problem with it is, as soon as it hits the surface, the guppies don't come up looking for it. So I don't know if it's a smell, the way it looks, the way it hits the water. I don't know what it is. It's super great for small fish, but the problem is that they don't come up and hit it right away. So I don't think the fish love it as much as some of the other foods that are out there. So that's one of the things I look for, is just to see how fast they hit the surface and if they'll leave any of it behind. So if I feed the same amount of a flake food as I do a pellet, and they eat all the flake food but they don't eat all the pellet, my only assumption is they probably don't like the pellet as much. So it's kind of a weird way to look at it, but basically I'm just looking to see if they hit it as soon as it hits the water or if they don't hit it as soon as it hits the water. The second thing I look for is in the ingredients. So I like to make sure they have a quality ingredient in them. So in Fluval Bug Bites, they have the black fly larva. That's a super good ingredient. Krill, spirulina, those are also great ingredients. So those are mainly the three that I look for in a good fish food. So those are ones that I think high quality fish foods have, and I think it's because it's super good for your fish. Goes good for coloring, their growth, all of those things. And so those are what I look for in foods. A lot of foods nowadays have those in them, so you just kind of check. Most of them will say it on the front of the package what they have. So if they have one of those three, typically they're pretty good. The third thing I look for is that in general it's just not ridiculously expensive. So something like, shout out New Life Spectrum, I guess. Some of their foods are super high quality. The fish probably would hit them as soon as they hit the surface, but they're so far on the high end that I probably would never feed them. Some of the other foods out there are the same thing. They're super high quality, but they're twice the price of some of the other foods out there. So I just won't feed those because that just doesn't seem to make sense to me. If it's the same price as frozen food, I don't see why I wouldn't just buy frozen food and feed that rather than a high quality dried food. It doesn't make any sense to me why I would do that. So that's the third thing I look for. So things I don't look for in a fish food are two things only. One, the fish don't eat it. If the fish don't eat it, obviously I'm not going to feed that food. Number two is if it cloudies up the water too much. So some foods are kind of hard to not do that, but some of them, they are good foods, the fish eat them, but they make the water so gross that I don't want to feed them anymore. So a perfect example of this is New Life Spectrum Fry Starter. So this food is great. The ingredients are great. Everything's great about it. I don't even know if the fish really eat it. It's so hard to tell because they are so small. It doesn't seem like they hit it when it hits the surface. Like I fed this to guppy fry, angelfish fry, cherry barb fry, all of those fish, and none of them seem to love it when it hits the surface. So one, they don't eat it, and two, it makes the water super cloudy. It's a super fine food, so that would make sense, but it's so hard because it makes the water so cloudy. So it's a food that I don't feed at all. So now I'm going to talk about the four main foods that I love the most and the ones that I think you should buy if you're looking for a good fish food that you pretty much should be able to feed to any fish that you have. So if you get all four of these, you should be able to feed pretty much any fish in your fish room for the most part, unless it's a super big fish that I don't have because I mostly have community fish. But number one, Fluval Bug Bites. A lot of people talk about these. These are amazing. This is the smallest version they have, so the small fish food. Honestly, you can feed this to any fish. I've fed this formula to angelfish, which obviously are not a small fish technically, and they love it. It's a super high quality food. It's made of black fly larva, which is super great. Pretty much any fish will eat it. As soon as it hits the surface, it seems like they smell it. They'll come up to the surface and eat it. They pretty much love it. They have a few different varieties. There's like a medium-sized one that's supposed to be color enhancing. That one is also great. All of those bug bites are really good. It's one of the ones that I love the most. The second one is the other thing that, full disclaimer again, Cobalt sent me this for free. This food is awesome. So this is the Cobalt Shrimp and Pellet Ultra Pellet. Shrimp and Veggie Ultra Pellet, excuse me. So as you can see, This is completely empty because I fed the entire thing. This food is great. This is a hard one to find. I don't find it at any fish stores near me, so I have to order it online, but this is a super great food. Like the cories, plecos, any bottom dweller that you have, it seems like as soon as it hits the bottom, they're out there eating on it. That doesn't happen with all my other foods, especially with cories, because they're a little more skittish, you know? So with this food though, they seem to smell it and see it as soon as it comes in the water. It's also super fast sinking, so it'll get to the bottom so that they can have it. It's a food that they all love. The third one on my list is one that a lot of people talk about. It took me a while to buy it because it is more on the expensive end than the other foods that I'm going to talk about, but I think it's super great. This is the flake food that I feed the most of, and it's extreme. Whether it's the krill or the spirulina, I don't typically really have a preference. I think the spirulina I like a little less than the krill, if that makes sense. They're both super good though. If I can buy either of them, I will buy them. Not many fish stores right now near me sell them, unfortunately, but this food is great. Again, you can see this is also empty. I bought another one, the bigger container, because this didn't last me very long. This food is awesome. So this is, again, the two ones are krill and spirulina. That's the main ingredient. Again, another super great ingredient to have in your fish food. It's a food that literally as soon as it hits the water, my fish hit it. It doesn't matter where they are. They will smell it, come up to the surface and hit it. The ingredients are great. The people that make it, obviously, they feed it to all their fish at their fish farm. That's super great. And it's just in general a very good food. The last one is one that I feel like you can't go without, and that's Algae Crisps. I have 2 bristlenose plecos, so they typically like crisps. So what I actually have been feeding, I've tried quite a few crisps, because not usually many of them come in a bag. I've tried the Tetra ones, a few of the other ones. The ones I ended up liking the most are the Bug Bite ones. I didn't even know that they made these. I went to a fish store and they had them. They're super great. A lot of my fish actually will eat them. So that's actually the only problem I have with it, is that not just the plecos will eat them. So if I put them in and the angelfish that are in the tank don't feel like they got enough food, they'll start going down and ripping it apart. So it's a super good Algae Crisp. Unfortunately, a lot of fish like it. The cories like it. The plecos love it. Unfortunately, my other community fish also love it. But besides that, it's a super good food. If you don't have driftwood in your tank with your plecos, they need wood in their diet. There is a company, I think it's Sarah is what it is. They make a catfish crisp that has wood in it. This is also super good food. I have a little bit left of this, but I haven't fed it all. This is super good food if you don't have any driftwood in your tank and you have catfish, because they will love to munch on wood. So if you need wood, you can buy something like this that has wood in it, and that's a super good food. For honorable mentions, a food that I like because it'll pretty much go to fish that are a little more picky is Fluval Bites. A lot of people have talked about these. Not every fish in my fish room will eat these, but some of my pickier fish, if they're not eating, they will eat these. I think it's the shape of them as well as the smell, and they're also a slow sinking fish food, so they go more into the water column than say flakes do or something that's sinking. So a lot of the fish will chase them down and eat them. It's a good food to feed when I get new fish into the fish room so that I can kind of get them into eating. So that's another honorable mention. The other honorable mention I have is if you can't find another of the sinking pellets, the 2 that I recommend after this one. This is a new one that I've been feeding. This is omega-1 mini veggie pellets. These are slow sinking, so this is the food I've been feeding for my cories in my angelfish tank, because the angelfish will eat the food so fast that my cories can't get any, so I needed a smaller sinking pellet to get to the bottom so that they could eat it. The other option, if you can't find that one, is just the omega-1 shrimp pellets. These are also great for cories. They literally have a Styria coridora on the package, even though it's for shrimp pellets. So that's another super great food. Both of those omega foods are ones that I like a lot. They're ones also that I'm still feeding in the fish room, so those are all the foods that I like. So I hope this video brings value to you. I hope you can find some of these foods. I'll try and link the main 4 that I talked about in the description below. Again, full disclaimer, Cobalt did send me the 2 that I talked about, so I just want to get that out there. They sent me those for free. I wasn't required to talk about them. Obviously, I only recommended one of them. So they're super great. All of those foods are great. If you're looking for a food, you probably can find them on Amazon. I recommend buying them from a local fish store if you can, but if you can't find them, I'll try and link them in the description below so you can find them. The one food I forgot about that I do love a lot, I kind of talked about it, but I want to make sure to mention it, is frozen foods. Frozen foods are super good. So the main ones I feed are bloodworms as well as brine shrimp. So I have both regular brine shrimp and baby brine shrimp frozen. So these are super good foods, super high quality. They're a bit more expensive to feed in general. They're not expensive to buy. As you can see, this package was $4.99, I think. So they're pretty cheap to buy, but obviously you can only feed 16 times or 20 times or however many pellets are in there. So they're not the cheapest food out there, but they're super high quality. It's one that I definitely recommend. If you have a local fish store that sells them, buy some. You don't have to feed that one every day, but feeding a variety of food is good. That's why I keep a variety of food, so I don't just feed that one flake food or that one pellet or that one bottom dweller food. I try and mix it up with some frozen, some flakes, some pellets, all of the above, so that my fish can get a good varied diet and live happily. So frozen foods, highly recommend. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you like it, check out some of my other videos. Obviously, we got a lot of fish tanks here, so we got a lot of content coming out. So I hope you enjoy this. I hope you're having a good one, and I'll see you guys next time.